Every year, heart disease kills around 9 million people in the world, making it the biggest killer of both men and women. But I'm here to tell you that the majority of these deaths are preventable. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why heart disease is the biggest killer and how you can protect yourself from it. My name is Hafiz and I'm a cardiologist training in London. If you're new to my channel, here I tell you about heart conditions and what you can do to have a healthy heart. So if you ask me why heart disease is the biggest killer, it's because we live in a world with people living with chronic stress, which causes you to develop unhealthy daily habits. And the bad habits that I'm talking about is not getting enough sleep, not having enough time to do exercise, having an imbalanced diet, and engaging in unhealthy activities to control your stress by smoking, for example. And all these behaviors predispose you to what we call risk factors for heart disease, such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, carrying excess weight, and developing diabetes. Risk factors are things that can raise your risk of developing heart disease. The more risk factors you have, the more likely you are to develop heart disease. There are, of course, risk factors you can't control, such as your family history, your age, or your ethnic background. But the good news is that there are many things you can do to reduce your risk. Making small and achievable changes to your daily routine can make a big difference to your heart health, which in the long term could save your life. So I'm going to talk about all these things and how you can reduce your risk. The scientific name for this condition is coronary heart disease, which means disease of the blood vessels supplying blood to your heart. The heart is an organ made mostly of muscle, and it has its own blood supply called the coronary arteries. This blood supply is important because it ensures that your heart can pump blood effectively to the rest of your body. Over time, fatty material called atheroma can build up inside your coronary arteries, a process called atherosclerosis. Eventually, your arteries become so narrow that they can't get enough oxygen-rich blood to your heart. If a piece of atheroma breaks off, it can cause a blood clot to form. And it's this clot that can block your coronary artery and cut off the supply of blood and oxygen to your heart muscle. This is known as a heart attack. Coronary heart disease develops slowly over time, and the symptoms can be different for everyone. Some people don't know they have coronary heart disease before they have a heart attack. And all these risk factors speed up the process of atherosclerosis. So it's really important to be aware of the risk factors and how you can manage them in your life. Let's start with what I think is the cause of much of these problems, and that's stress. Stress is a feeling of being overwhelmed or under pressure. We've all felt it. You may be feeling anxious and a bit panicked. Maybe you feel there aren't enough hours in the day. Other people are asking too much of you, or that life's all a bit too much right now. It's normal to feel like that sometimes, and we need stress to get things done, so it's not always bad. But if you're feeling like this more and more over time, and you are struggling to cope, it's time to make some changes. And it's important to remember that stress alone won't give you heart disease, but is linked to unhealthy habits that can increase your risk over time. When you're stressed, you're much more likely to turn to unhealthy habits like smoking, eating comfort food that's often high in fat or sugar, drinking too much alcohol, or not being physically active. In the moment, these things can make us feel relaxed. But if we do too much of them, in the long run, it can really harm our health. Feeling stressed may make your blood pressure increase for a short time. That's normal. But behaviors linked to stress, like overeating, eating too much salt, drinking too much alcohol, and not moving around enough can lead to long-term high blood pressure. This can damage your heart, major organs, and arteries over time. High blood pressure is very common. It affects 1 in 4 people in the world, and most people don't even know they have it. I've done a whole series of videos on high blood pressure, and I've also done a video on how you can measure your blood pressure at home. So if you're interested, check it out. And of course, when you're stressed, you're more likely to have fast food just because of time pressure. If you eat too many foods high in saturated fat, this can lead to high cholesterol. Cholesterol is a fatty substance in your body that can get stuck to the walls of your arteries. It clogs or damages the arteries, increases your risk of having a heart attack. So I've already told you that stress can cause high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. But an imbalanced diet and not enough physical activity increases your risk of developing type 2 diabetes in the future. Diabetes is a condition where your body cannot control the sugar levels in your blood, either because your body doesn't make enough of a hormone called insulin, or your body can't use the insulin it makes. Diabetes puts your heart health at risk because it damages your arteries, the blood vessels that carry blood to your organs. So I hope you're seeing a pattern here. The buildup of too much glucose or sugar in the bloodstream damages your arteries. This damage to the arteries makes it easier for fatty deposits to build up. If the arteries that carry blood to your heart get damaged and clogged, it can lead to a heart attack. Another risk factor which I find people don't pay much attention to when it comes to your heart is sleep. I recently did a Heart Talks episode with Professor Donald Lloyd-Jones where he talks about how poor quality sleep has a detrimental effect on your heart. As a summary, adults need an average of 7 hours of sleep. Think of it like charging your body to ensure it works effectively. Poor sleep not only makes you feel awful, but you're also more likely to make bad decisions, like all the things we've spoken about. Okay, so we've talked about all the bad stuff, but let's now talk about how we move forward. If you're listening to this and thinking, I have all the risk factors, don't panic, because that's just going to raise your blood pressure, and we definitely don't want that. The first thing to do is think about small, healthy changes you can make over time, like eating your 5 a day or going for a short walk to reduce the feeling of stress. The best time to make even small changes is always now. It's easy to think that you'll do it later, but if something is affecting your health right now, then you need to take action. There will never be a perfect time. If you're not at your best, you're not giving your family, friends, and co-workers your best either. So it's time to put yourself first, and it will stop you making choices that increase your risk of heart disease. So let's address the things to stop doing. If you smoke, you need to quit. It's the single most important thing you can do for your health. I've done an entire video dedicated to how smoking can harm your health. I'll link to it somewhere below. Try not to binge drink. That's more than 8 units in a single session for men and 6 units for women. Binge drinking does so much harm to your liver and overall health, but it also raises your blood pressure, affects your cholesterol levels, and makes you put on weight. And we want to avoid all those things. Now let's talk about food. I did a Heart Talks episode with Michelle Rubenstein, a dietitian and nutritionist who gave amazingly helpful advice, so do check it out after you've finished watching this video. In summary, eat a balanced diet with plenty of fruit and vegetables. Of course, you can allow yourself treats every now and then, but if that becomes every day, then maybe you need to cut down. Take every chance to get up and move. Being regularly physically active helps you to reduce your risk of developing heart disease. You can reduce your risk of heart disease by 35% by being more physically active. If the thought of doing any physical activity fills you with dread, or you feel you just don't have enough time, then start small. Finding time can be tricky, but if you fit the activity into things around you're already doing, you'll be a lot more likely to get into a habit you want to stick to. This could mean walking to work instead of driving, getting off the bus a few stops early, or taking the stairs instead of a lift. Try writing a list of everything you do in a day and see where you can slot in 10 minutes or more to be active. Lots of little things build up to make a big difference. I've done a whole video dedicated to the benefits of physical activity, and I explain how it can seriously improve your health and well-being. Okay, so coming to the end. Taking care of yourself by eating well, being active, getting enough sleep, and quitting bad habits will help you not only feel better, but also protect your heart from disease. If you know someone who needs to hear this, then send them this video. In the comments below, tell me one thing you will do to improve your heart health. And if you've enjoyed this video, then give it a like and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.